Today we're going to name compounds that are called acids. For your acids, every single one of them will always have hydrogen ions. So that's hydrogen with a +1 charge. This hydrogen ion is always going to be written first. So if you have a compound that has this hydrogen ion written first, you're going to follow these rules to name your acids. Now there are 3 different types of acids that we're going to name. They're called ide, ate, and ite. And with your ide, ate, and ite, what that actually has to do with is your anion, which has the negative charge that gets paired up with your hydrogen. We're going to look to see what is that name of your anion. And when your anion ends in ide, there's one set of rules. Ate has another set of rules, and ite has a third set of rules. So looking at your acids, if you have something like HClO3, we know it's an acid because we have hydrogen written first. Same thing with HF. This is an acid because we have those hydrogen cations there. So we're going to come back to these examples in just a second. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at these naming rules. So with your naming rules, if it's an ide, that means that your anion ends in IDE. So these are all of your elements on the periodic table, like chlorine and bromine and iodine and all of those all end in ide. If you have an ide, you're going to put down hydro, and then you're going to have a root of the word, and then this is ic. And then the word acid, you can think about it in terms of if you have acid, that means that you have hydrogen written first. Now if you have a polyatomic ion that ends in ate, those are the only ones that end in ate, these do not get hydro. All that you're going to do is you take away the ATE. So if you have like sulfate, you would just put that right there. But instead of ate, you're going to write down ic and then acid. So take away the ate and put in ic. Same thing happens if you have polyatomic ions that end in ite, ITE. For your ITE, what you're going to do is you're going to take that away. You're still going to put the stem of the word there. So carbonite, you're going to put in that carbon part. But instead of writing ITE, you're going to put OUS and then acid. So ide is hydroic, ate is ic, and ite is us. So when you have the formula, something like HClO3, your H just means, hey, you have an acid. So you're going to look at ClO3. ClO3 is a polyatomic ion. This polyatomic ion is chlorate. So to name this acid, you're going to take away the ate, ATE, and you're going to put in ic instead, because if it was an ate, it becomes an ic. So the name of this acid is called chloric acid. Now this next one, I have HF. So I have H, which just means that it's an acid. And then F is fluoride. For my fluoride here, what we're going to do is we're going to take away the IDE, we're going to put in ic, but because it had IDE, we're going to put hydro at the beginning. So the name of this acid is called hydrofluoric acid. Now the next one, I have HNO2. If we have HNO2, this is a polyatomic ion. NO2 is nitrite. So it's paired up with hydrogen. So my nitrite, what we're going to do is we're going to take our ite away and we're going to put in OUS instead. So this one is called nitrous acid. So going from the formula to the name, if you know these 3 naming rules, it's pretty straightforward. If you have the opposite and we have the name and we need to write the formula, we're going to use these rules up here. And then we also need to remember that all acids are going to start with hydrogen. So hydrogen has a +1 charge. The last thing that you need to remember is we're going to swap and drop. So we have a plus charge, we're going to have a minus charge for your anion, and we're going to swap and drop those charges. So on this one, we have hydrobromic acid. The word acid means that we have hydrogen with a +1 charge. On this one, I have hydro. So that means that this bromide, IDE, used to be bromide because hydroic, so hydroic was bromide. Bromide is an element on the periodic table. It's Br -1. So to swap and drop here, we're going to take away the plus, we're going to take away the minus, and when you swap and drop the ones, you just end up with HBr. So hydrobromic acid is HBr. Now in this next example, we have sulfurous acid. The word acid means that it starts with hydrogen. This one ended with OUS. So if this was OUS, that means that it used to be ite. So sulfur's a little weird. We keep in the little UR there whenever we name it. So we're going to look for sulfite on our polyatomic ion chart. This polyatomic ion is SO3 -2. So when I swap and drop there with sulfite, the plus and the minus disappear. This 2 is going to come over here to make it H2SO3. Now this last one, I have carbonic acid. This does not have hydro at the beginning, and it's an ic. So if it was ic, that means it used to be 8. So that means that we need to take hydrogen, and we're going to pair it up with carbonate, CO3 -2. So when we swap and drop with our hydrogen and our carbonate, plus and the minus disappear. This 2 is going to come over here to make it H2CO3. So that's everything that you need to know about naming acids. You need to know these 3 rules, that your ide is hydroic, ate is ic, ite is us. All acids are going to begin with hydrogen ions, so hydrogen with a +1 charge. And we also need to remember that we need to swap and drop on your acids when you're writing your formulas.